Welcome to Peak Radar Live. I'm Angela Seals. And tonight, for the first week of Arts October, we're highlighting visual and culinary arts. We're leaping right into the episode by taking you live on the street with our correspondent, Jennifer DeDominici. Jennifer, where are you?
Hi, Angela. I am on South Tejon in front of Coati Uprise.
Coati Uprise is one of the hottest openings of the year in the restaurant world.
It's pretty stinking cool, if I do say so myself. I am here with Forrest Jackson, the operations manager of Coati. Hi, Forrest. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me on.
When did this open?
So we opened, our grand open event was actually 9/9. So it's been about a month that we have been open. So far, it's been nothing but a great success. It's been better than we've ever imagined truly this space to be. So we feel very lucky to actually be able to do this during this time.
Yes, tell me a little bit about Coati. So this is a culinary experience. We have several different culinary experiences actually within the space. Where did this concept come from?
So the idea that we have here is we truly want to use this space to cultivate community. We want it to be a space where people can either create themselves or recreate themselves. So what that means is we're looking for people that are young, not age-wise, but business-wise. We're looking for people that are here to either have an idea and create the idea brick and mortar-wise. So we want to give people an opportunity to get into a physical space and really show us what they have to take local culture and try to spread it to the masses is kind of the idea here.
So these are local chefs, and you're giving them a space so that perhaps the startup costs that might be accrued in a startup restaurant are a little bit less, and they get to try out their art for a lot of us here in the Springs. Is that true?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We want to give people that platform to make their name, to invent who they are truly, and show all of us here in the Springs area what they have to offer. We know that it is tough, especially during this day and age, to have a restaurant that you start yourselves. Like you said, there's huge startup costs, and we kind of use our facility to front some of that startup cost to give these people an opportunity to live out their dreams.
So cool. How does a chef become part of this?
The biggest idea we have here is we want everybody in our space. Obviously, we only have a certain amount of slots open, but it's an open vendor form. So on our website, you actually apply through a whole vendor form, and then it's kind of like a Top Chef concept. You come in, give us a little tasting, show us what you're about, and then we go from there and just select a spot that's going to be best for you in our space and let you show us what you have.
So fun. So what are some of the things we have in here now?
So right off the top, in the front of our space, we have a dessert bar and then a superfoods and smoothies bar. So some really fun, uplifting concepts right here in the beginning. Moving farther along, we have Equilibrium. They're a hot sandwich place. So they do a bunch of hot sandwiches, grilled sandwiches, things like that. Some approachable style food. Next to them is actually our test kitchen spot. So it's our number one rotating spot in the space. But right now we have Slowdowns Texas Creole. So they're Tex-Mex, barbecue style food, awesome portions, a really good Southern vibe. After them, we're gonna have Lucial's. Lucial's is a Southern seafood spot. So very Southern based, very Cajun based, a bunch of fun, hearty dishes there. Past them, we have Anju. They're a Korean street eat spot. So very authentic Korean style foods. Really, if that's the spot, if you want Korean food, it's the spot to be in Springs. Just gonna say that now. And then upstairs, which is opening in mid-October. Upstairs, we're gonna have Ephemera, and they're experiential dining. So some upscale cuisine, course style food. So 7 to 9 courses, options like that. So it's going to be a really fun experiential way to get into a fine dining atmosphere. So
neat. So you said there's a test kitchen that currently is. You said it was
Slowdowns.
Slowdowns.
That is correct.
How long will they be here? How quickly do people need to get in here to try that?
As of right now, we're going to have them in here as long as they are comfortable.
Okay, good.
So they are an awesome startup too. They've been around for a little bit, but this is going to be an awesome brick and mortar for them. And they're huge partners of ours, so we're willing to give them as much time as they need to get their brand up and off the ground. So
fun. Are there any spaces that are still available?
There currently are no spaces available, and we kind of have a wait list too. So it's a desired location. And like I said, we feel very blessed to be able to have the opportunity to even have this involvement during this time. So
absolutely. And the atmosphere is incredible, and the open concept in this time is incredible as well. You have this open air so you feel a little less closed in, which feels safer.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. There's also fantastic blues music happening right now. So live events are something.
So live events, it's a big thing for us here, actually. So typically when it comes to food and beverage, it's food and beverage. That's it. Here at Kawadi, it's F, B, and E. So it's food, beverage, and experience. That's what we're going for. So when I say young people in the business game, I mean live performance artists, still artists, things like that, culinary artists. We're looking for any true form of art. We want people to be out here and utilize this space to make a name for themselves. So we typically have live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings. We want to keep that going, because it does help create community and bring people in, and also still has that showcase vibe for all of our talent here. So,
are there any other kinds of events, or is it just music? I think I saw on the website that there's yoga.
We do morning yoga. Yes, we do actually, and it's sponsored by Two Sons for our Superfoods and Smoothie Bar, actually, which is really cool. It's fun to have the opportunity to get people into something new and just utilize our space for more than just food. And like I said, it's F, B, and E. So that's the important part for us here is we have yoga. We do what we call a mischief makers market. So we have some people that have local products that they like to sell and create themselves. We have them in here from time to time too, just we'll showcase what they have as a talent.
You say mischief makers.
Yes.
That reminds me of Kawadi. What is the conception of the name Kawadi?
So Kawadi, the Coatimundi is the animal actually native to Middle America. So we use the Kawadi as our brand because we are kind of that breaking the mold, being different, being mischievous in a sense, trying to start something new, trying to bring something that's different here to downtown Springs. And then Kawadi in itself, the acronym stands for Colorado Automatic Trolley Interchange. This used to be the actual location where they housed a lot of the trolley cars when the trolley ran up and down Tejon. And then the other fun bit is Kawadi translates to Tejon in Spanish. So a bunch of fun ties here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Forrest, for being with us tonight, for being a part of this awesome enterprise. I hope you all get to come and experience this at some point. Come join us at Kawadi on South Tejon. Thanks, Angela.
So much, Jennifer, for taking us live on the street to one of the hottest new restaurant openings of 2020. Isn't it inspiring to see new ideas still?
I don't know if she can still hear us. If you're still watching, take a peek at this beautiful space. Do we need to have reservations?
It's open seating. It's help yourself.
Okay.
The only spot that will be reservation based will be Ephemera upstairs with those course style meals. So that'll be the spot to make sure you have reservations for.
Okay, thank you. I can't tell if we're still going, but if we
Thanks
are,
so much, Jennifer, and thank you,
Forrest
Jackson. We hope that you have one new cultural experience during Arts October, and it could be a culinary experience. We hope you'll get inspired tonight by what's happening in our visual arts and our culinary arts community. And you can find out more about everything that's happening during Arts Month 2020 at artsoctober.com. Now we have a video Arts Month message from Manitou Springs.
The history and heritage of Manitou Springs is forever linked to the artists that visited and settled in this area beginning as early as the 1800s. Today, that attraction has not wavered. We are fortunate to have many artists who call Manitou Springs and the Pikes Peak region home. We have galleries and studios. Some of our artists offer classes and workshops. We also have murals and sculptures throughout our communities. As development, revitalization, and beautification efforts have happened, new installations have been added. The arts excite the senses. They create inspiration and are great adventures for all of us. Today, every day, and especially during Arts Month, we hope that all residents and visitors will get out and discover all of the art experiences that make this area such a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Of course, Manitou Springs, one of the really inspiring creative districts in the state of Colorado and right here in the Pikes Peak region. Next, I'm excited to welcome to Peak Radar Live Gundega Stevens and Abigail Kreuzer, who are both well-known gallerists in Colorado Springs, who are starting a new venture. They're here today to give us 3 tips on hanging art in our homes, which is something that I know I need. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
We've all been spending so much time in our homes, and sometimes it would be nice to have some new ideas about how to freshen it up. So as you've begun your new venture, Curate Your Space, which we'll talk about in a moment, I thought it'd be really fun to have you give our viewers some tips on hanging art at home.
Absolutely. We actually have 4 today. And the first is never hanging too high. You don't want to go into somebody's home and be looking up at artwork or a gallery. That's another thing. You don't want to go into a gallery and be looking up at artwork. And the second is giving the artwork breathing space, having some room around pieces so that it can breathe, no matter if it's salon style or linear. Breathing space is always very important. And just when you're starting off, or even a collector that you've been collecting for a long time, most importantly, just choose pieces that speak to you. Don't choose it. I mean, you can choose a piece that matches your couch if you need to, but we really are big advocates for choosing pieces that resonate with you, make your heart skip a beat, kind of just speak to you. And most importantly, above and beyond, just have fun with it. It should not be intimidating. I know some people get intimidated with collecting art or starting to buy real art, and it should be fun. And that's what's most important, is have fun with it.
That's a great reminder. And I think both of you are so good at hanging. Like anyone who visits Kreuzer Gallery is Abby's gallery in downtown Colorado Springs. Gundega's gallery is G44 Gallery. Anytime you walk in those spaces, the spacing, the salon style of hanging, it just gives you new ideas of what you could do. So what are your other 2 tips for us tonight?
Well, those are kind of them. Breathing space, not too high. Pick pieces that speak to you and have fun. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So picking pieces that speak to you has got to be part of what your new venture is about. So Curate Your Space is a new curation service. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're helping people to find pieces that speak to them?
Well, especially during this time, it's been hard for people to get out of their home during quarantine and that kind of thing. So what we found is that we will bring art to you if you need us to. We can find different ways, different artwork that interests you. We have a survey that we can email you. You can go on both of our websites and see if there's anything that resonates or an artist that you'd like to see more work of. And we will pack it up and bring it to your home, and we'll see what works. And we'll help you either curate what you have in your home already or buy some new work, and we'll help add those pieces into what you have.
The pictures that you are sharing on social media are so beautiful. It's amazing to see how you find just the right piece for that particular dining room. And I think it should really give people some great ideas. So definitely follow on Facebook, Curate Your Space CO, and check out what they're doing. What gave you guys the idea to start this together?
We actually, we've been both doing it for many years, but we had a local collector contact each of us at different times, actually in the same week. I went on Monday, Gundy went on Wednesday, and we're like, why are we not doing this together? We can pool our resources. We work with many of the same artists and many different artists. And the more we get to know the people, the collectors and people that invite us to their homes, pooling our resources just made sense. We think a lot alike, but in my eyes, Gundy is like an amazing salon style artist, hanger. So we have strengths and weaknesses that complement each other.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the best kind of business partnerships is when you can strengthen each other. And it's a great way that our arts community works as well. So if you've been thinking about buying local arts, Visual Arts, Culinary Arts Week of Arts Month would be a fabulous time. And if you're not quite sure what to do with it, where to find it, or how to hang it in your home, I would encourage you to check out Curate Your Space and get some expertise. Because it really is fun to have someone to guide you through finding just that local artist that's really going to speak to you. Yeah. All right. Thank you both for joining us on the show. Is there any final tip that you'd like to offer folks? Maybe a mistake that you sometimes see that people should not do?
Hanging up at the ceiling. Again, going back to not hanging too high. That's just a really tricky thing. Let people enjoy your art, the art that you have decided to collect and bring into your home. Let them enjoy it by having it at eye level so everybody can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Number one thing.
That's a great tip. All right. Thanks so much for joining us on Peak Radar Live.
Thanks, Angela. Bye.
Buying local art is a wonderful way that you can support local artists. And during 2020, our local artists and our arts community at large have been affected really profoundly by the pandemic, by the effects on the economy. We encourage you to buy some local art during Arts Month, and we hope that that interview inspired you to do that. Another way you can support local artists is through the Artist Recovery Fund at Pikes Peak Community Foundation. And now here's a video message from Mina Liebert of the Pikes Peak Community Foundation. Tell us a little bit about how they're supporting local artists during this time.
At the Pikes Peak Community Foundation, we believe arts are vital to any thriving community from both an economic and cultural standpoint. Not only do arts and culture add to the character and personality of our region, but have a significant economic impact to the tune of over $153 million annually, based on the most recent Arts and Economic Prosperity Study. We learned quickly that artists in the Pikes Peak region and across the country would be undeniably impacted by the outbreak of COVID-19. The Pikes Peak Community Foundation was proud to partner with the B. Vredenberg Foundation to launch the Artist Recovery Fund, which was intended to support local artists as you navigate through this uncertain time. In 2004, when Edith Elias left her estate to the Pikes Peak Community Foundation and inspired the creation of the Fund for the Arts, Peak Arts Prize was born. Every year, artists like you share their new ideas to reach new audiences. As a partner in advancing the work of the creative sector, the Pikes Peak Community Foundation is humbled by your ability to adapt and adjust during the pandemic. Knowing that the arts impact physical, emotional, and mental health, now more than ever, we need you to keep creating. Thank you to local artists that share their creativity to motivate and inspire. And thank you to the audiences who support the cultural sector with their time and resources. This Arts Month, join the Pikes Peak Community Foundation in enjoying at least one new local cultural experience with a family member or friends this October. Thank you.
One of the ways that we have somewhat reinvented Arts Month during 2020 is the creation of a lot more virtual programming. And the Cultural Office is pleased to present a new series of online panels this Arts October called Community Conversations. There'll be 2 each week that align with the theme weeks of Arts Month. Here joining us on Peak Radar Live to preview the community conversations of Visual Arts and Culinary Arts Week, we have Daisy McGowan and Samantha Wood. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks, Angela.
So when the Cultural Office contacted you, let's start with Daisy. When you were contacted to host a community conversation, did you have something in mind? Or did you have to think about it a little bit?
Yeah, I really thought a lot about, the people that I'd want to have the conversation with about visual art. So that made it pretty easy because the panelists I've invited are all pretty active with activism, basically, through art. And so in different ways. So I invited Idris Goodwin, Matt Reffick, artist out of Pueblo, Greg Deal, an artist who's pretty new to the Springs area, but has just made a huge impact right away. I also, I'm forgetting my last panelist. I invited Jasmine Dillavu, artist, and she's actually very involved with the culinary community and Hawaii Uprise. Yeah, so I was excited to also cross over here with Samantha. There's so many ways to enjoy art. But yeah, as far as arts and activism, that was kind of an easy list to come up with.
Yeah, that's actually something that we found through the cultural office, was that when we came to leaders in our arts community and said, we're going to start this series of community conversations, what would you like to host a talk about? That time after time after time, folks kind of knew right away who they would want to have on that panel and what they wanted to get into. So Daisy's conversation is visual arts as activism, and that will be coming up on Thursday, October 8th at 3:30 p.m. And you can watch the community conversations on the Facebook page of the Cultural Office. So you'll find both Daisy and Samantha's community conversations and the entire series throughout Arts October at facebook.com/Arts Culture Fun. Once you get yourself there, you've gotten yourself to a really great conversation. Samantha, how about you? When you were first invited to host a community conversation, did you have to think for a little bit? I mean, the restaurant industry, oh my gosh, you guys have had so much coming at you. This was kind of a new thing too.
I did have to think about it. First of all, I was really honored to be asked. I'm not a chef myself. I don't own a restaurant, but my company is very much based in the culinary world and in downtown Colorado Springs specifically. So we've worked with probably upwards of almost 100 restaurants or artisan food vendors over the 10 years that we've been in business. So I think, after I really thought about what's really relevant right now, our restaurants still to this day are operating at 50% capacity. And I think the title of our conversation is Creativity Rush, How Forced Innovation is Keeping the Restaurant Industry Alive. Wow. Back in June, the Colorado Restaurant Association surveyed local restaurants in the state of Colorado, and 56% of them were considering closing their doors within 3 months.
Wow.
And I think that, their margins are already very tight. And when they can only operate at 50% capacity, they are really forced to have to think outside the box. And how do they subsidize the rest of that in order to keep their staff on board and keep their brick and mortar running and, stay in business and stay relevant. So I chose 3 panelists: Chef Brother Luck of 4 by Brother Luck, Russ Ware of Wild Goose, and also Good Neighbors Meeting House, and also Meredith Klube, who is part owner of Jack Quinn's. And all 3 of them in very different ways have had to innovate in the past few months. And I think it's important for them to be able to tell their story and to communicate how they've been able to get through this time and hopefully inspire other people to be creative in their industry so that we can, still have a thriving local food scene in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, so Samantha's panel, it comes up tomorrow on October 5th at 2 p.m. And it is that creativity rush, how forced innovation, and that phrase forced innovation, I thought, that really applies to the entire arts and cultural scene. And it even connects with arts as activism, because the arts have been part of social change throughout human history. But certainly the events of this year have forced a different kind of focus within the arts community towards social justice and activism. So I think that forced innovation phrase, Samantha, that you used is really perfect, because it kind of, this Arts Month, we're all thinking about how we're being forced to be creative.
And it's a good thing, because I think that amazing ideas are coming out of this that maybe wouldn't have come to the surface had the things that transpired this year not transpired. So I think that it's really easy to get caught up in the negative narrative of all of the things going on. And I think that there actually are some really positive things coming out of this. And that's why I think it's important to talk about those things so that we can see some of the good that has come out of this season and how we're reframing what it means to be successful, and we're reframing what it means to be a community. And I think that that's really important. It's a really important time for our culture and our city. And, I'm just really honored to be able to be a part of the conversation and to help, be the moderator tomorrow with 3 amazing panelists. And yeah, I look forward to it.
Wonderful. Daisy, why should people watch on October 8th at 3:30 p.m. Your Arts as Activism? What do you hope that they'll take away?
Well, I hope they really discover all the different ways that the arts are activating our community. And really, as in my role in the arts in Colorado Springs, I've just taken to heart the ability to create community through these shared experiences. And how we're sharing those experiences right now has really changed. Like Samantha said, those constraints are pushing a lot of creative responses. But what hasn't changed is this sort of really deep commitment of artists. The act of being an artist itself is, there is a very activist element to that, to make your life, dedicated to art. And so artists like Matt Reffick out of Pueblo, who just created a huge mural, which is very much a community project celebrating Pueblo, and who also works in the prison system, near there with prison population that, may have lost hope, and art really offers a lifeline. And artists like Jasmine Delvaux, who, are really exploring their heritage and offering that as representation for other young artists or artists of all backgrounds coming up in our community. Those are just a couple examples. Greg Deal's monumental mural in downtown Colorado Springs, highlighting, missing murdered Indigenous women and queer transgender people. Like, it's just very important to think about all the ways that arts, can do that. And then also to really challenge ourselves. I think I hope that they take away from that conversation that we don't have all the answers. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to adjust. The arts have, really been clobbered by what's happening right now, much like the restaurant industry. There are still many, many theaters that just can't open at all. So how do we adjust? How do we adapt? And how do we do that core of what we want to do, which is to bring art to the world, to have a conversation, to spark dialogue, and really have it be authentic. And right now there's so much to talk about, and arts, I think, are just a very powerful way to do that.
Yeah, and you don't have to have all the answers. You have to ask the good questions. And art and activism are about that. And so is innovation, just asking the right question and following it. Samantha, what do you hope that people will take away from your panel tomorrow, October 5th at 2 p.m.?
I hope that people are inspired by some of the stories that will be shared by these 3 leaders in the culinary industry. And my mantra in my business and in my personal life, to be honest, is just to support local. I think more than ever that is incredibly important to do. And it's why my business exists, really, is to support the local restaurants, local chefs, entrepreneurs. So we're here to tell their story, and I want to help them survive this season and maybe uncover, something new that they're good at or hadn't considered, and maybe help other restaurants stay in the game, stay motivated, and just there's hope on the other side of this, and we're all in it together.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being willing to moderate such thought-provoking topics. I really hope that you will go and participate with both of these incredible arts and cultural culinary leaders in our community. I should have mentioned Daisy is with the UCCS Gallery of Contemporary Art, and Samantha Wood is with the Rocky Mountain Food Tours. So they have a fantastic perspective on these topics in the Pikes Peak region. You can watch the community conversations live at facebook.com/artsculturefun or on the Cultural Office's YouTube page. And after the fact, you'll be able to find them all at artsoctober.com under Community Conversations. Thank you both for joining us on Peak Radar Live.
Thanks, Angela.
It has been a rough year, and there's been a lot of forced innovation and a lot of creativity and a lot of vulnerability. from all of us. And we thought that the visual arts and culinary arts community really deserved a good pep talk. And when I thought about who should give that pep talk, I thought it should be Jon Khoury, who is the executive director of the Cottonwood Center for the Arts. Hi, Jon. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Angela?
You have an ability, and anyone who knows you knows this, to really give this incredible punched up voice to your belief in the arts community, to how artists should believe in themselves. And so I hope you might just give us a few minutes of a pep talk when we all deserve it. Would you do that?
I am honored that you asked me to do that. Thank you. And you know, the reason it comes out that way is because it's true. Mm-hmm. And if it were not, I couldn't find that space in myself to do it. Mm-hmm. But I will say, having grown up really during a time, let's say late 60s, early 70s, I can't think of a time where the importance of what artists do was greater than it is right now. And I do want to jump over to Samantha for a second, because Samantha nailed it in terms of our restaurants. The most important thing in any type of art and preparing food and putting it on a plate and bringing it out to you, or on the street on Tejon, like we're amazingly doing in this town, that is art in such an obvious way and so often overlooked. The key thing that Samantha said was relevance. Yeah. And the hardest thing right now is nobody knows what relevant is right now. We have all these discussions about what the future might look like, what tomorrow might look like. Thoughtful, creative people are spending time thinking about that, but they're having trouble kind of putting their finger on what is relevant. And God bless our restaurants in this town. I've never seen anything like it. And granted, it's not like I've been to lots of different cities during COVID, but as far as Colorado Springs goes, what our restaurants have done in terms of elevating demand by being relevant, and that sounds confusing, but let me tell you what I mean. When I first got here in 1980 to go to college, I went to CC. Any piece of bread that was round with a hole in it, people called a bagel. And and I know that sounds kind of humorous, but it wasn't a bagel, because it's the substance of the thing that makes it relevant. And now we've got restaurants and food offerings here that are so much greater than that place that I saw 40 years ago, which I know sounds like a long time ago, but to me it feels like yesterday. Mm-hmm. Now we're in this place where you walk in and, you know, in the middle of the craziness we're all dealing with, these restaurants are hopping to being relevant, doing whatever it needs to take. I've never seen anything like it. The list goes on forever. So I just encourage them to keep that vibe going. You have to be relevant in an environment that's impossible. It's hard enough when everything is normal. When it's impossible, you have to be relevant, and we are doing it in this town. On the visual arts front, and I challenge people to go out to a restaurant and tell me I'm wrong, because this place is hopping right now. And again, Samantha nailed it. Stay relevant, differentiate yourself, and be there for your people. I know how hard it is, but we are going to get through.
Good.
I want to jump over to Daisy for a second too, because she made some great points too. There's so many important issues that are having a need to be expressed right now. And they're being expressed in a way, let's say through protest and things that people are writing and feeling, etc. It's so confused in a way right now, because everyone feels a little bit out of place in terms of where they fit in terms of all these important issues. What I would encourage artists to do right now is keep those thoughts and figure out how you can express those in a unique way that's not being done by anybody else. And that's how this will have a way greater impact. Any of us can talk right now about the issues that we're dealing with as a society, but someone, an artist particularly, is going to step up, and many of them will do this, and put this into context and make it relevant for how we move forward. And that's why what Daisy's working on and what Samantha just spoke about, what more could you ask for in a city of our size? So awesome to those guys. As far as artists are concerned, the last thing I will say to them is, yes, you do want to focus on what you do as an artist. But the critical thing that has to come out right now is how you do what you do. Why you do what you do. You've got to ask those other questions, make them relevant, and give us a chance to take that into the future. And there's nobody who does that better than an artist, whether it's a cook, a painter, a dancer, a singer, and on and on. Those are the people who are going to make sense of our future.
Thank you so much, Jon, for that powerful moment, just reminding us all to really own that relevance and to really believe in the future of our visual arts and culinary community, because they're on an amazing trajectory that 2020 is not going to derail.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks.
We hope that you've been inspired by Peak Radar Live tonight and that you'll go out and have one new cultural experience with your family or friends this October. We'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. for our next episode. Have a great night.